Happy New Year's, everyone. I hope you're all doing well with your friends, family members, and loved ones. I thought it would be a good time to share some important but sobering astrological news and political news with the family, not to start off the year on the wrong foot, but on January 1st, 2025, at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Central Time, Mountain Time, Pacific Time, Mars is retrograde at 1 degree of Leo, forming an opposition to a debilitated moon in Capricorn at 26 degrees and Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree. This aspect portends violent attacks on the homeland, against citizens, and or against the government or government officials. A few weeks ago on my tarot channel, I predicted that white and black Americans will be in conflict during Trump's presidency, not necessarily against each other, but will be fighting for some reason. Mars represents warfare, Leo represents the king, Aquarius represents the common man, and Capricorn represents government institutions or powerful legacy organizations like the Catholic Church, banks, etc. The various attacks on the homeland will be orchestrated by the powers that be behind the scenes to cause confusion. This is indicated by Saturn, which is a dispositor of the Sun, Moon, Pluto, and Mars, being in the sign of Pisces, which represents religion, deception, hidden enemies, projections, transference, escapism, addictions, self-sabotage, and the fog of war. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Pisces later this year will reveal to many Americans that capitalism isn't just an economic system. It is a religion that sacrifices corporations, countries, human beings, animals, and the earth itself to feed a consumer demon that is worshipped as a god by a certain group of people of different races, cultures, and nationalities. This demon is the reason we have mass genocides, holocausts, wars, and a gluttonous culture that ravages humans, animals, and the planet alike. When Pluto was in Taurus in the 19th century, we had the Civil War, which sacrificed almost 1 million men. When Pluto was in Leo from 1938 until 1958, we had World War II, which killed tens of millions of people. When Pluto was in Scorpio during the 1980s and early 1990s, we had the HIV/AIDS epidemic that killed millions of people as well. And Scorpio is a sign of sexually transmitted diseases, biological warfare, etc. Now we're in the age of Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius. Another Holocaust, world war, or massive sacrifice is being planned. I believe that American citizens will be tricked into a civil war, which will be used to justify slaughtering millions to feed this particular demon and to destroy the Constitution. The original Constitution wasn't just a legal document to establish the United States. It was a blood oath to protect the citizens of this country from the corruption of old world civilizations and cultures in Asia, Europe, and Africa. The U.S. eagle is under attack and will not be able to protect itself as long as it has a snake in its talons. This snake represents the Black and Indigenous peoples of America who were betrayed, oppressed, and then eaten by way of structural violence, oppression, and racism. For centuries, the eagle sustained itself by preventing the snake people from ascending into the phoenix. The snake, eagle, and phoenix are all totems for the sign of Scorpio, which represents power that comes from death, transformation, and resurrection. The Chinese dragon, which represents the emperor in tarot, is stronger than the American eagle, but it is not stronger than the phoenix, which represents the empress in tarot. This is why you will hear more conversations in MAGA white supremacist spaces about Blacks, whites, and Hispanics coming together to protect themselves in this country from the Asian dragon. These white supremacists are now realizing that in order for them to survive, they have to get their claws out of our backs. And this was predicted decades ago by the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple. The Chinese dragon does not want to eat the snake. The dragon wants to eat the eagle. Dragon energy is more reptilian, and phoenix energy is more feminine, creative, and mammalian. I'll discuss this further in the future, but just to recap, there are going to be more domestic attacks in the United States to push Americans into war. The Constitution's under attack by international oligarchs that represent the old world feudal caste civilizations and systems. And white Americans are going to start asking Blacks and Hispanics to join them. But in order for us to do this, they realize that they have to stop oppressing us. It is not a coincidence that the very language white supremacists have used to justify our oppression is the same language that globalists from India and Europe or South Africa are using to justify discriminating against white Americans. Just as Black Americans were called lazy and stupid because we didn't want to be enslaved and exploited, white Americans are now being called lazy and stupid because they want to receive fair compensation for their labor. What is the moral of this story? The moral of the story is that centuries of oppression of the snake people by the American eagle was treacherous and unnatural, and it created a negative karmic loop that will ultimately destroy this country if they don't do what is right by the snake people or by Black and Indigenous Americans. If the United States does not do right by the snake people, the people that it has oppressed and betrayed and exploited for centuries, then we will not be able to help you in your wars. You will not survive. The dragon is stronger than you. The dragon's not stronger than the phoenix. Black and Indigenous people have to be allowed to become the phoenix. This means we have to be allowed to transform and to ascend into a higher level of consciousness, which means that many of these oppressive systems must be dismantled, and we must be re-educated, and we must be compensated for what has been done to us. If this doesn't happen, our ability to help you fight on this homeland will be compromised and very limited. As long as the eagle is holding on to the snake, it can't become the phoenix either. So as long as you're hating against Black Americans and Indigenous Americans and oppressing us, you won't become a phoenix either. And the great dragon of the East is going to eat you regardless. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.